Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. The Manga Man here, and today we're talking about solo leveling. It has truly been a very long time since I've really done a video of any kind on this chapter, more so solo leveling, because I think the last time I did a chapter was chapter 150. There's a lot of things that have happened. Work has kind of ramped up. That's become quite busy. Personal life situations, illnesses, and so on and so forth. And because of that, I've really been inconsistent. I think what really kind of hurt a little bit was I had a strike notification on my YouTube channel for solo leveling, which kind of really took the wind out of my sails, and I just couldn't do it, knowing that I could put effort in. Yeah, I could put more effort in, and I could do more editing and all this sort of stuff. But just for the effort that I do, just to have this conversation and just to get this out there for the small viewers that I do get, it was very disheartening, and it kind of put me off for a long time till very recently, where they announced that yes, we will take down this strike, even though there was no reason for a strike, because you literally have this the whole time, and even my icon or my thumbnail is modified, and there was literally nothing that I was really doing much in terms of copyright. That being said, it has been a while, so the way I'm going to deal with this is I will have all timestamps below. I will be cutting this into times where now you got the intro, then you're going to have the first five or so chapters, 151 to 155, and 156 to 159, and then a more comprehensive review, hopefully not too long, for chapter 160. So without further ado, let's get into this review. So chapter 151 to 156. Due to the nature of how many chapters I ultimately need to cover, these will be summaries up until 159, and then I will give a little bit more of a comprehensive video, and then hopefully next week onwards, 161 onwards, I will try to have a bit more of a detailed analysis. But let's kind of go through what happens in these chapters. Ultimately, the last time I made a video was 150, where Sun Jin Woo runs into the Ice Monarch. He doesn't know he's the Monarch. He calls him an Ice Elf, and he's about to start the fight. So what happened since then? So a few things happen. Number one, we do see the skirmish with the Ice Elf. We do see that Sun Jin Woo does partially damage him, and the Ice Elf Monarch does seem to be like shocked by this, as well as outraged to see a mere human damage him. Sun Jin Woo makes a choice to try to save the chairman, who unfortunately does die and refuses to be healed by the ultimate healing potion that Sun Jin Woo has, as he feels like it's probably better elsewhere. In his death, ultimately we pick Ju Chil Woo, I think his name is, as a replacement, and a few things happen where they kind of go one step onto each other, where we see that ultimately Thomas Andres kind of carrying out his promise of giving a gift, Sun Jin Woo a gift. He turns up, they have a meeting where he bestows him two daggers made from Kamish's tooth or talon, who basically is that big dragon that pretty much destroyed most of America. We also see that this dragon fang dagger is kind of like the ultimate weapon at this moment in time, because it's multiple times stronger than Sun Jin Woo's current weapon, which is, I think it's around 6 times stronger, and also it kind of scales with the strength of the user. When this does happen, we start to see a big gate opening. Sun Jin Woo can't enter it, and an evacuation procedure has started to essentially evacuate the surrounding area before things get crazy. We are also told that this is the only one that's happened in the world right now, and we have had mention of them being 9 others for the 9 monarchs to essentially come through. We don't know what order they're coming in. We have not a mention of that. The other thing that we see is we see a conversation with the monarchs. We find out a few different things. We are introduced or reintroduced, if I'm mistaken, to the monarch's proper name, which is Osborne, and we are told that they are confirmed that he's basically in his human form, and he hasn't been fully taken. Sun Jin Woo hasn't been fully taken over because the monarch is meant to be one of the strongest. The Shadow Monarch is meant to be one of the strongest out there, and it's surprising because the Dragon King can't come to Earth because there isn't a vessel strong enough. So it's surprising that Sun Jin Woo has. What this ultimately does, it shows that the potential or the full power of the monarch is really up there, for them to be mentioning the Dragon King within the same scene, and also the fact that I believe two of the monarchs, I think one I thought wasn't a monarch but is Iron Body, I think his name is, he just refuses because I don't want to die and basically end up like the White Flame Monarch Baran, the King of Demons, and be a puppet like in his army, even though it's a copy because the real one died, and you can't extract from the real one, which is why Sun Jin Woo couldn't extract from the giant monarch. Also, another one refuses as well. But then once they've got clarification that he is in his human form, the Beast Monarch and the other, I think it's the Transfiguration Monarch, the lady one basically says, we will help. This tells you a very important thing. They are so scared of the Shadow Monarch's true ultimate power, and they've ranked him so highly amongst their ranks, that till they've had confirmation that he's not in his full form, that's when they want to put him down. So you can imagine how strong the Shadow Monarch was, where some monarchs don't even want to fight him, and some are only taking a risk because they know he's not in his full powered form. So that's really interesting, and that battle will happen at some point. How he scales right now, I don't know, but as far as I'm concerned, the Ice Monarch's probably the weakest because he got damaged and he had to run. What essentially happens after that really is more of a warm-up for Sun Jin Woo. Thomas Andre is still about. Warm-up meaning that he's training with Beru, and Beru's got the commander rank at this moment in time. And then we see right at the end, which is chapter 155. 155, we see that Sun Jin Woo spending some time in Chain. The blonde girl who's at S-Class as well. He's also put out a message to say, anyone that needs help, let me know, and they're hunting S-Class heroes. And that is pretty much the chapters from 151 to 155. So after this, we'll be moving on to 156 to 159. So, chapter 156 to 159. I can't help but smile because it's begun. The part that we just talked about, that happened a few weeks ago in normal time, they've made their move, and it is looking a bit dicey, to say the least. So 156 to 159 can only really be summarized as going from 0 to 100 in a split second, because that's what happens. So we see that Sun Jin Woo's with Chain still. He's kind of chilling, doing his thing, he's out of range. And then while that happens, a lot of people are gathering at the Hunter Association, and this B-rank dude runs into the Beast Monarch, picks a fight, gets eaten, and all hell breaks loose. You get a lot of other people here at this point, and essentially the person who really steps up is Thomas Andre and National Level Hunter. You get eventually throughout these chapters, you get the Hunter from Germany turn up as well. You get that beast hunter who's the leader of his crew that turns into like a wolf. He turns up, and there's that one that uses a fire that's kind of in the background somewhere. Now, ultimately, what we kind of established from here is Thomas Andre, even though he lost to Sun Jin Woo, is still a massive asset to the world of humans. And you see that because he does push back the Beast Monarch. I mean, there's power bombs involved, throwing around headbutts and all sorts. But it takes the Beast Monarch to essentially transform or release more of his power, turns it into more of a wolf, for it to start going the other way. Because you can't see the internal dialogue saying, I seem to think that I'm going to lose this, and this is Thomas Andre's point of view. You even see that guild leader whose name escapes me right now, basically transform and realize in front of the Beast Monarch he is like a little puppy, and he kind of just runs off in a way. And there's that Neinhardt, I think his name is, or Leinhardt, the German. He goes, oh, I'm here to fight. This is the reason why I'm here. I made the right decision. And then you can see him try to convince himself. He goes, I made the right decision, didn't I? I made the right decision. And he gets really close. He goes, no, I think I made the wrong decision. That was just funny because, like, as it happened, you could see that they've been literally overwhelmed by the pure energy and force that this King of Beast Monarch possesses. And it only takes eventually the intervention of Kaisel and Sun Jin Woo for them to be a gap for Thomas Ande, who's nearly dead, and everyone else to kind of escape. But as that happens, Sun Jin Woo realizes that he is not fighting one-on-one. And then we see the appearance of Koreshma, who is the King of Plagues, who I thought was a transfiguration monarch. That is not the case. She's the beast of the King of Insects, and she turns up to fight the Ice Elf dude. The King of Ice, the Frost Monarch, turns up to fight, and they're basically jumping Sun Jin Woo. So Sun Jin Woo brings out the boys, and the Ice Monarch traps them in a spell of ice. However, Beru escapes. Now, there's an ongoing thing with Beru. Beru's like a little puppy for Sun Jin Woo, but he's a beast everywhere else, and he is kind of fighting essentially for his king against his former king, because Koresh is technically the king of insects and plagues, and essentially she calls herself the mother, and the other monarchs are quite surprised that essentially he's got a commander level warrior on his side who's considered a god of destruction in terms of how dangerous they are. As the fight goes on, it starts becoming more one-sided, where essentially Sun Jin Woo is beginning to get backed in a corner, at which point Beru kind of also makes the proclamation of, you idiots, what you're doing, protect your leader, your king, my liege. And you know, the stronger people start turning up, and while all this is going on, in all these pincer attacks, the Beast Monarch cuts and slashes Sun Jin Woo in the back, and they're like, oh yeah, it's a matter of time now, we're gonna defeat him, and he's going down, and restore. And that's how the chapter ends, and it just sets up nicely for us to go into chapter 160. Chapter 160. Now, the way that ended, it's a bit of a worry. However, let's kind of go through a few things. So, a few things I didn't touch on in the earlier chapters is one thing that Sun Jin Woo proclaims is, if anything, the Ice Monarch needs to die. That's one thing that he has to do. That's what he promised when the chairman died. So that's something he will do. He does that in the earlier chapters. He kind of proclaims it again when the fight starts. Another thing that's kind of touched on a little bit about how he's incomplete and the fact that he's got nothing to fear of, and he's fine. You will be able to beat him, is what they're kind of pushing. What does happen in this chapter is we see that ultimately he isn't the weakest Shadow Monarch, and this is shown because he basically kills Koresha. She's done, and he levels up. And we see that confirmed by how much at the end of the chapter we see his stats, because we've seen his stats earlier on in the last 10 chapters, and he's probably gone up quite a bit in power since then. So a few things that we notice is the beast is a lot more calmer than the Frost Monarch, as the Frost Monarch is the one that is reassuring. Frost Monarch transforms and really does start to push Sun Jin Woo. Sun Jin Woo just wants to be a little bit faster, and at the end we see that essentially he gets behind him, but in the process he gets stabbed by the Beast Monarch, and literally, you know, it looked like he's basically dead. He isn't dead yet, he just looks like he is. That being the case, is this going to be a case because essentially the Shadow Monarch is the god of death? He will prevent his death. Will he lend him more power? Will this be a kind of thing What I mean by that is, if you think back to when he fought against the administrator, the puppet master, the architect, there's a point in there where he's fighting, and he goes, "If I could be a little bit stronger," and then that black heart gives him that little bit boost, and then he's able to basically outdo the architect, and then you see that the heart has given him like 10 times more mana and everything else. Could this be a similar situation where he's literally just about to die? He's nearly dying now. He's like on 1 HP, and then that black heart gives him a little bit more, maybe that extra percent of power. Because what we've seen from that point till now is he's at least leveled up like 140 levels. I'm just gonna go back and check. He's 146, so it was like he was around about a level of 100, 105 if I remember correctly. So he has grown since then, physically, stats wise, everything, so that more of the Shadow Monarch's power might be able to possess the vessel, so to speak. So this might be that, but honestly, these last few chapters have been intense. There's been a lot of action. Basically, everybody else has been watching. And the one thing that really caught my eye is that sniper talking about wanting to jump in. Everyone's waiting to make their move, but they're scared that they'll just die. And just about when he's about to, there's a person behind him who basically looks just like Sun Jin Woo's dad, and probably is. Now, does this mean there's going to be a part where he's going to join the fray, or is he just waiting to see what happens? We're going to have to wait and see. Now, it's been a long video. This is probably going to be about 15-16 minutes long. I applaud anyone that gets to the end. But as always, please like, comment, share and subscribe. And share it with your friends. I'm a small channel. I am growing. And any kind of help would be greatly appreciated. But as always, I must bid you adieu. But before that, I will say I will be catching up on all my series today. I've taken some time off work. It is Saturday. So I will do catch-up videos and everything else, which will include Black Clover and One Piece. And I'll finally start talking about other series that I want to, such as The Tower of God and Hajime no Ippo. There's probably going to be times down the line where I will include more manhwa and manga, but for the time being, that's what I'm heading towards. So please check them out also. So you will start seeing a lot of videos come out quite consecutively of this next day. And hopefully Sunday or Monday you will see Tower of God, providing I can get the right thumbnail and intro sorted. And hopefully Tuesday or Wednesday before the next version of this comes out, you will see Hajime no Ippo releases a weekly chapter. But before that, I will probably do a video about my thoughts up until now. But anyway, I must bid you adieu. Peace.